Alright guys, welcome back. So we're back on the MR2 today. We're this close to getting it started because all I gotta do right now is change the fluids on the car and I think it's ready to crank. So what do we have here? We have the full synthetic oil. So I'm using 10W30 because we're in Florida and I think this grade of oil is gonna be good for our climate. So that's what I'm going with, 10W30. We have the OEM Toyota filter, oil filter. Along with that, we have iSim 50-50 pre-light diluted mix, so that's going to be our coolant, and I got 4 of these. I think that's going to be enough to get the car fully filled up because it's currently everything is drained right now. And then we're going with MT90 for transmission fluid. So MT90, and then we cannot forget about our gasoline, right? The tank was empty because we changed the fuel pump. I drained everything, so we got to fill it up with fluids. So transmission fluid, gasoline, coolant, oil, right? And I think once that's done, I think it's ready to go, ready to crank. So I have for the oil transmission fluid, this is the drain bung, and I have the gasket that will go on it. So we're gonna replace this. And then I have another one as well for the fill bung, which you'll see once we go through this process here. And then for the oil, I have the gasket for the oil bung. So again, all of this stuff you're gonna see, but just so you understand what parts to get to do this type of job. And then we have our 24mm, that's gonna be for the fill and drain bolts for the transmission. And then we're using a 14mm for the oil drain plug. So I have torque wrenches here, 29 foot-pounds on the oil drain fill and 36 foot-pounds for the transmission fill and drain plugs. So that is what we got. We got everything ready to go. So all we gotta do is get to the car and get this thing done. All right, so here we go. Now for the oil change, we're gonna start with the oil change first. So there is the oil and there's the part number on the filter. Again, this is pretty easy to find out, but that's what I'm using if you wanna get original Toyota. And there's that bung that I showed you that we're gonna use. It's like a plastic one. It's from MAHLE Moly. So that's what we're gonna use for the oil. So there you go, I got my drain pan right here. And here are my tools. The oil bung is right here. So it's on the back of the engine on the pan. So right here. So this is what we're gonna pull, drain the oil out, and then should be pretty clean. Look pretty decent when I pull the valve cover. So let's see what comes out to this thing and let's roll. All right, so let's get right into this. We're gonna pull this drain plug here, and as always when you do these jobs, you hope you don't create a mess. So let's see what's gonna happen. All right, that's our 14mm. All right, there's our oil. We got this little gasket stuck on here, so we'll break this off so we can replace it with a new one. Well, let's watch this thing drain. I'm gonna open the filler cap on top, and then we're gonna let this thing drain, and then we're gonna get the filter out. All right, so we're gonna let this drain. Pretty decent, not crazy dirty, which is a good thing. If you see, just from a white towel, that's what the oil looks like. So that's not crazy dirty. So that's kind of, we're hoping that's good news. So this engine is in good shape, because it would suck if we start this thing up and we got problems. So fingers crossed everything goes well. But this is where we're at. So let's go ahead and get this oil filter out while this drains out as well. Alright, just so everybody can see, I went on the other side of the vehicle so I wouldn't get in the way of videoing this. So hopefully this oil filter, I can turn it by hand. Let's see. Should be able to, but let's see. Nope, we're gonna need a tool. Let me get a tool. All right, so now we're onto the oil filter, sorry. So you can pull this thing, it was pretty tight, so I had this tool that I got, which basically fits multiple sizes of oil filters. So you just open this guy up and put it on here, and as you tighten it, it squeezes it down and it allows you to turn pretty much any oil filter off. So again, handy kit if you got more than one cars too, it helps. So now we're just gonna spin this off, and fluid is gonna drain from this side as well. And again, this is a basic oil change. This works for most cars, most Japanese cars with this style oil filter. So we're not reinventing the world here. We're just doing what we gotta do. And let's hope this doesn't fall and splash me all over here. So let me try to do this with here. There you go. All right. So we're gonna clean up this piece right here. Get a paper towel and just kind of clean everything up. And then we're gonna refill, put the oil bung in, put the new oil filter on, refill the fluids, and that would be it for the oil change. But I'm gonna show you guys this to the very end, so just keep on watching and let me go check this filter out and see what it looks like. All right, so here's the filter, and I just like to kind of pour this out and see what's in there, just to make sure, because I don't know this engine, so just wanted to see if anything weird comes out. So it just looks nothing suspicious. I was looking for like metal shavings or something like that, just to be on the safe side, but looks pretty decent. So I think we're gonna call this good for now. Leave this right here to the side. My little sample cup. Again, just looking at the quality of the oil. So looking good. All right, so we'll drain this off, we'll clean this up, add some more fluids, and we're almost done with the oil change. So here's the oil bung that came out. So I'm gonna remove the old gasket. That's old on. I clean this up a little bit so it sits perfect. And I might need to get a blade here. Some of this gasket material is on the bung, so I want to get this clean so the new one seats properly. So I'll just clean this up. I think this is the Toyota gaskets use like a Teflon. So I'll just go ahead and clean this up. And then put a new one on. So this is the new one, so this will pretty much go right here. We'll tighten everything down. And let's get the filter out. So this is garbage. Has this plastic piece protecting it. All right, so we'll get that out. It looks like this comes pre-lubed. So normally you would take some oil and put it here, but this is pre-lubed, so it has some grease on it already. So that's what you get when you pay for Toyota parts. They're ready to install. So we'll go ahead and screw this guy in. So let's get this in, let's get the plug in and fill it up. This stuff, you don't need to use any tool, just nice hand tight, so it should go on pretty smooth. And just turn it until it can't go anymore. Just nice and hand tight. Don't need to go crazy on it. All right, so that's it. All the filter is in, and now we're gonna get the plug in, and then we're gonna fill the fluid from the top. So let's get that done. Now this is going to be tightened to 29 foot-pounds, so that's the torque spec. So we'll go ahead and get that torqued up. So let me grab the torque wrench and we'll get that done. I was going to use a torque wrench, and I was turning with the torque wrench, and I just don't want to go 29 foot-pounds on this thing. So I hand tightened it. I think that's pretty good. I've hand tightened these things many times in the past and they work. So worst case, if it leaks a little bit, I'll tighten it up afterwards, but I don't want to go crazy on this oil bung and mess anything up. So let's go put oil inside the engine. So let's get up on top. All right, so we get the oil filler cover off, and then we're gonna put the little funnel here just so I don't spill things all over the place. So let's get this oil in, and we're going, it's 4.5 liters. So I'm gonna probably fill it to like 4.25 and then check the dipstick over here, see what's up. But that should be pretty decent. And I'll run this, maybe change it pretty quickly after just to kind of bring the engine in. So let's see if I can do this without getting any oil all over the place. And I don't want to get any oil all over the place, so let me just put a rag just in case my hands decides to go bananas. I don't get it here, so here we go. So like I said, 4.5 liters. That's what these engines call for, at least that's what I found online. So, you know, we drained it pretty good. Normally you're supposed to get your engine hot before you drain it, so obviously we didn't do that in this case, but we haven't even started yet. So I think 4 is really a good number to start with. And we check or we add as we go forward. So I am at 2.5 in already. Let's go some more. In. A little bit more. Alright, so you guys get the basic idea. We'll check the dipstick and then we're going to jump right into the transmission side and get that changed as well. So I got a new washer on the drain plug here, and we're going to screw this in and tighten this down to 36 foot-pounds. So we're going to tighten up the drain one first, and then over here is the fill one. So we'll get to that one, that's where the fluid will go in, but let's get this one tightened up, and I have the torque wrench. So I'm gonna do this in increments. Right now I have it set at 25 foot-pounds. And this is too long, let me get a shorter socket. So let's try this again. Yep, that should work. So it's 25 foot-pounds. Now I'm gonna go to 30 foot-pounds. I'm doing this in increments of 5, just to be on the safe side here. All right, so we got the drain one done, so that should be good. Now we're gonna pull the fill bung out, and I'm gonna replace it with a new gasket. All right, so here's the old gasket. Again, these were just replaced the other day, so I mean, not like, I guess once you use them once, that's it, it's done, but we're gonna clean this area up. Now I'm gonna get my filler mechanism in place, and we're gonna fish it from the top of the engine and then into this tube, and then we're gonna basically fill it. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, so I have this funnel thing designed. Basically it's a funnel, and I put a hose on it to the tie strap. So I'm gonna put it from the top of the engine down, and we're gonna kind of run this so I can just basically fill it from here. So gravity helps this thing to flow. So I put it from the top of the engine, And then we're gonna go underneath and we're gonna stick this into the fill plug for the transmission. So let's go underneath the car again and show you how that looks like. All right, so we're gonna get the hose into the fill area. You go, just get it all the way as far as you can in, and now we're gonna get the transmission fluid filled from the top. All right, so this should take about 2.8 quarts of this thing. So I'm just gonna basically go from here and just fill it until it starts to overflow on the bottom. So if it overflows by the time you get 1 quart in, then you know you got a problem with your fill tube. We just keep filling this thing until we get all of them in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this off camera, and then we'll tighten everything up. We'll come right back with you guys. So basically with this tube all the way in, this was all the way inside here. So when I was pouring, I guess fluid just building up here. So once I pull this out, then the excess just overflowed. So it took about 2.4 quarts or more or less based on what I saw that came out. So again, the idea is just to fill this thing until it overflows and then put the plug in. So I'm just letting it drip out right now. And after that, we'll put the filler bung in place with a new gasket and tighten that up to 36 foot-pounds, and the transmission fluid is done. So we're moving along. Now I'm going to go add some coolant to the car. So let's head up back to the engine on top, get the coolant in, get the fuel in, and then we'll be done for today. Now, coolant, we're just going to add coolant to the system. Obviously, the car has to be started. Got to warm it up, then burp the system, which is a whole process by itself. So we'll do that as well. But for today, we're just going to get some coolant in there so that when we crank this thing, at least it's not a dry engine. And then we'll burp the system and get it going. So let's get to that. All right, so let's get this cap off. I have this funnel that I use. You see guys, get some of that expensive one with a little cap, which can hold a lot of coolant in the top. This works pretty good. I'd used it to burp the system before. As a matter of fact, it fits much better in this modified water neck that I've got here. So we're gonna use this and we'll just keep adding fluid in. So here's the good stuff. And let's get this guy in. Again, let's try not to spill anything here. So try to do this so you guys can see. And there's that nice pink stuff. That's what came out of the car. Well, that's what came out of the Gen 5. So giving it back the juice that it had before. All right, so we're just gonna get this in and we're just gonna fill until it can't fill no more. And once we start the car, we'll burp the system. All right, so I'm filling from here, and just after 1 gallon, it's like filling up right here. So what I did, I came to the front of the car and took this plug out, this plug right here, and that's part of where the burping happens. So I basically just took this piece out and just to allow air to flow. Once we fill the system, allow air to push out while the fluid is going in, so it doesn't create a backup. And getting this coolant in. So we're just going to continue to keep filling, but just wanted to point that out. If you're having that problem, just open one section of the line, helps the fluid to go in a lot easier. All right, so we got all the fluid, it overflowed. So just, fill it and then let it overflow on its own. So now you see nothing else is dripping. So we got the new washer here. We're going to put the fill bung on, and we're going to torque this down to 36 foot-pounds. And that's basically going to complete the transmission fill on this S54 transmission. So we'll torque this down, and we just got the oil replaced. So oil is replaced, transmission fluid is replaced. We're filling the coolant right now. And I mean, obviously coolant is gonna take some time because you gotta burp the system and the car can't start. So I don't even think I'm gonna get all the coolant in there today. Once it fires up, then we'll just keep adding more as it heats up. But that's gonna be pretty much it for today. We just gotta throw some fuel in. You don't need to see me doing that. Just basically just open the gas filler, pour it in, and that's it. So we're making some progress. So I know everybody wanted probably to see this car start today, but you're gonna have to wait till next week because I'm out of time for today. Gotta go do some other stuff here. So that's all the time we got for today. But Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope this was helpful for someone. Everybody got to change your oil. Everybody got to change your transmission fluid at some point. So we will do the startup, and I guess in that video we'll probably just get the burping done with the coolant. Hopefully there are no leaks anywhere. I got my expensive ice and coolant in there, so hopefully that does not go to waste and leak out. So have a good weekend, guys, and thanks for watching.